Your town demands a sacrifice to keep the darkness at bay. You just refused. In our town, Havenwood, the houses sagged like weary bones. We were all tired. Once a year, to keep the blight away, each family had to make an offering, a cherished memory. We'd sacrifice it to an object, and one of the hollowed townsfolk who'd given too much would collect it. This year, it was our turn. My little sister Clara was too young to have a memory worth taking. So, Dad decided it had to be his memory of Mom. He held her silver locket, the one she wore on their wedding day. "It's the strongest one I have, Elias," he'd said, his voice as brittle as autumn leaves. "It's the only way to be sure it works." I couldn't stand it. Erasing her from his mind felt like a second death, a betrayal worse than any monster. But in Havenwood, fear was the law, and my father was a devout follower. The offering had to be made. The next day I saw our neighbour, Mr. Abernathy, staring blankly at a faded photograph. He'd given up the memory of his wife's face last year. Now he just looked hollow, a human-shaped space where a person used to be. That was the price of our safety. We were hollowing ourselves out, piece by piece, becoming ghosts in our own homes long before we were buried. At twilight, the hollowed began their patrols. They moved without a sound, their eyes flat and empty like dusty mirrors. They weren't monsters, just neighbours who had nothing left to give. They were the silent reminder of the rules. The memory had to be of love or pain. A cheap memory wouldn't satisfy the blight. It had to hurt. It had to cost you something real. That night we gathered in the parlour. The air was thick and still. Dad held the locket over a single flickering candle, his eyes squeezed shut. I could feel it starting. A cold drain in the room as he began to pour his love for my mother into that tiny silver cage. He was chanting her name softer and softer. I couldn't let him. With a choked cry, I lunged forward and snatched the locket from his hand. For a second, there was dead silence. Then my father's eyes shot open, filled not with anger, but with pure animal terror. "What have you done?" he whispered. The candle flame sputtered, casting his face in a mask of horror. Before I could answer, a soft, polite knock echoed from the front door. Not the loud bang of an aggressor, but the patient, certain rap of a debt collector who knows your home. Two of the hollowed glided in. They didn't look at me or my father. They looked at Clara, who was hiding behind a chair. They held out their hands, and she, in the innocent way of children, took them. It was never about keeping the blight away. That was a lie, to make the harvest easier. The offering wasn't a shield, it was a meal. The town fed the blight memories to distract it from what it really wanted. They took her without a word. My father collapsed, a hollowed man in a single night. I was left standing there clutching the locket, the memory of my mother safe and sound. But the house was silent, and the space where my sister used to be was colder than any grave. I had saved a memory, but I had sacrificed my sister. If you like scary stories, follow for more.